Well, the market is in complete free fall with no one having any clue when the bottom will happen, and I'm already hearing it get louder and louder as people are lining up to tell you that a recession is coming soon. So let's discuss the possible recession and everything going on right now, what to do about it, and how to make a lot of money once again and take advantage of all the chaos. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get today, guys. I'm sorry. Video may upset some of you guys. I apologize in advance, but that's the only way I know how to give it to you. Now, let me start off by saying I'm not running down any of the political rabbit holes that exist around all this that's going on right now. I'm sorry. It's not the best thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. And there isn't time to explain that all here in detail. There's a lot of talk around it, and it's just basically not for public consumption at all. If I was really going to get into it and discuss it right here, that's why I kind of keep those videos private there in my group. If you want that additional insight, it's in there, but it's not for public consumption. And more importantly, it's not relevant in the end to your investing. The bottom line is right now, whenever we were looking at this in the first place, and we've actually been talking about it here for a while, the market needed to correct. And we got a reason to correct. And boy, did it ever correct fast. But the fact is, many stocks that I want to buy are still overvalued. Despite some of them taking a 50% haircut, they're still overvalued. So to me, there's still a long way to go. And if this continues for any length of time, we will see a recession of some sort, most likely. I'm sorry, that's just the way that it is, because you got to kind of keep in mind, it only takes 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP to get one, so the bar is kind of really, really low to get a recession. I mean, think about it. We had one of the weakest recessions in history in 2022, but it was still technically a recession, and the economy has been red hot coming out of that one as well. Also keep in mind, you want GDP growth in basically that 2 range or so. You don't want 3s and 4s, which was what we were getting coming out of that last recession. That's too hot. That's the reason why inflation took longer to come down than it did. So things need to slow down, and this will do it for sure. Now, before I say anything else, how much? Nobody freaking knows. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to do any of that other garbage that everybody else is out there doing, because nobody has a freaking clue. But the good news is I'm still going to be a massive winner through all this, and so will you if you kind of think through this. You don't get caught up in all the other stuff that's going on, and you simply do what we're going to talk about today. Now, let me explain why a little deeper I feel like I'm going to be a massive winner. One, the fact is, every single recession is a golden opportunity to make a fortune in the stock market, and here are the facts behind that. The mildest recession in history, or I feel it's the mildest one in history, one of the mildest, in June of 2022 was an incredible time to buy stocks, and you were up massively from that time frame. Go back to 2020 recession, basically with the whole world shut down, it was a golden opportunity. The financial crisis was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in virtually every asset class. So I welcome a recession. I want a recession as an investor. Now, I understand completely. It is bad in other ways, but as an investor, which is what this channel is all about, right? I don't get into all the other stuff. As an investor, that is exactly what you want, because if you ignore the fear and you buy stocks, that is where fortunes are made. And everybody else who listens to all the morons say, in the end, after it's all said and done, and we've already gone back up to all-time highs, they always say, I wish I would have bought more back during whatever time frame that was. Or they take the defensive or the offensive or whatever they call it. They basically go, well, yeah, you guys were just lucky. That's all that it was. The truth is, nope, not true at all. I was prepared and took advantage, and you can too. This is where switching your mindset to see times like recessions as not something to be feared, but something to be embraced and welcomed makes the difference. I can pull up a bunch of pretty charts and graphs and show you over and over and over again that the best time to be investing is during a recession, but I prefer to illustrate this with examples from my own life, just so that way you have real life examples from a real tangible person. My best investing years in terms of buys, my best buys happened in recessions, just like the charts would show you as well. Like my first foray into investing, I lost a bunch of money in the wake of the dot-com bubble and following recession that happened after that because I had the wrong strategy and bought the hype, and then I was too fearful once again, listening to everybody else, to go all in when I should have gone all in during that recession. But the good news is, during that recession that followed, I made my first buys in Apple, where a small $3,000 investment is worth over $1 million today. That is life-changing money that only happens in a recession, but I should have bought more, but I didn't because I listened to the narratives. I bought the fear. I listened to all the folks on, oh, I guess there was no, YouTube back then. But the point being, I listened to everybody else and I did the smart things, and it turned out it was a mistake in the end. So I decided I wouldn't make that mistake again in the future. And so when the, financial crisis happened, I bought real estate in that recession that accompanied all that, and look at the property values today and then look at them back then and see it was massive, game-changing money made on those investments. And the same went with stocks as well in the wake of that recession. Almost every single stock I bought is worth hundreds, if not thousands of percent more today than I paid for them back then. And then more recently, we had basically where the whole world shut down, right? That was a quick recession where some steal deals could be had, and you're still up on those today, despite all the chaos and the big drop and everything else. And the same exact thing with the 2022 recession, which kind of coincided with the bottom for many stocks. And those stocks have just soared since then. Remember, we saw Palantir in the 6s, Tesla in the 100, Meta at the 80s, Google at the 80s, Amazon at the 80s, and a ton of other stocks that hit those lows during that time, only to double up, triple up, or more just a year later, much less today, despite all the chaos and everything else. I think you're very, very happy with every single one of those buys. It is life-changing, to say the least, for those that invested and had the right strategy. So let's discuss strategy next. Now, I already hear some of you guys objecting that you don't have any cash to buy the next recession if it happens to happen. Well, you should have cash because we were just given a massive opportunity to build up our cash pool. Last year, basically from September forward, I know in my group, for myself personally, and all of our group members, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, I was hardly buying any stocks. And instead, I was stacking cash for the next opportunity as all those stocks ran and just printed money for me. So while everybody else was chasing and saying we were dumb to not buy SoFi at $18 because it's going to $50 shortly, or Palantir at $125 because it's on its way to $500 in a year, and all the other pumpeter narratives that once again had retail buying high, we were backed off. I know I discussed it right here on this channel. I backed off. Lots of people blast me down in the comments for it too. That's okay. But we backed off, and we had 7 or 8 months to continue to stack cash, replenish our cash to a very, very great position to where we find ourselves today with a giant cash pile to take advantage of what's going on. So what is the strategy? What do you do to make sure you're in the best possible position to make as much money as possible if we indeed get a recession and this drop off, this crash continues to get deeper and deeper and deeper? Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure your finances are in order. I know it's not something that gets talked about a lot. We talk about it a lot in my group. I try to touch on it here on the channel. It's kind of hard at times, but you need to master your money. You need to be saving as much from paycheck to paycheck as much as possible. And remember, your cash is also getting 4% as well for now. You need to be looking at starting that side hustle. Take on those extra hours right now. Don't wait for a recession to hit to try to do these type things, especially with your job, because there may not be extra hours if the recession, if it comes, affects the company you work for. So you got to take advantage of it right now, stack that cash up, because those hours might very well go away in the future if a recession comes, and especially if it happens to be a deep recession, most likely that's not going to be available to you. And as far as the side hustle goes, many of the great businesses out there today were born in a recession. So in some ways, it's kind of the best time to start a side hustle, because if you can get through that time frame, come out on the other side, that right there is where you see those businesses thrive on the back end. Second, you need to have a plan. You cannot wait until chaos hits or a recession hits or some craziness happens to start planning. You cannot wait until a surprise announcement about tariff starts for you to start your planning. Do your evaluations so you know what still needs to fall a lot more and what is on a screaming deal right now so you know exactly what to buy. Plan out your DCAs. Are you going to do a straight DCA, or are you going to go heavier as things go lower? Or are you going to use a modified DCA altogether, or maybe a different strategy altogether? It doesn't matter. Just have it all planned out. Write it out and execute to it. It is that simple. If you wait or don't plan at all and you rush your due diligence, or you don't do due diligence at all, it will end in disaster as emotions take over and the noise gets louder. And I think we can all agree the noise is ridiculously loud right now. everyone making endless predictions about tariffs and the impacts and putting up lots of little pretty charts and graphs and telling you nothing, but they all swear it's this can't miss indicators and all other sort of stuff. It is rampant right now, which leads me to number 3, which is you have to ignore the noise. Who remembers 2022 and all the noise out there? I know that I sure do. No doubt in my mind. Everyone had can't miss indicators that told you when the bottom was coming, which of course that didn't work. And every 100% true indicator of a recession pointing to a big one in 2023, well, they all turned out to be 100% false. And everyone had a chart and a graph that showed an even bigger dip was coming in 2023. So don't buy Google at 80 or Palantir at 6 or whatever. And those were terrible decisions. And once again, all those can't miss indicators were 100% false. I mean, unemployment was going to spike because of this, that, and the other, and chart, graph, whatever, flip, flop, whatever. And instead, unemployment actually went lower. It actually got better. Inflation was going to come roaring back, and the consumer was dead. And the exact opposite happened, and on and on and on and on it went for what felt like years. And yes, all those pretty can't miss charts and graphs and indicators are back once again, despite everybody being burned by them just a couple of years ago. So now everybody's trying to guess, oh, what does the VIX tell me? Oh, what does this indicator tell me over here? And all that other stuff like that when it tells you nothing in the end. I've never understood why the only tried and true 100% can't miss indicators and stocks that are actually true are this right here. These are the only ones. It is to invest consistently in great businesses during a recession on a DCA, for example, or whatever strategy you choose to use, and do the same thing during a crash and during the recovery. That's how you do it. But yet those are demonized despite actually being true 100% of the time and requiring you to time nothing at all. Nothing at all. But yet they're demonized, but despite the fact they're 100% true. But then, on the flip side, everybody falls for the same garbage that somehow tells you you can time the market with 100% accuracy, despite everybody knowing that that is completely false and nobody can time the market. We all know that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. You got to just simply ignore the noise, but yet that is what people fall for over and over and over again. And finally, you need to invest that money as fear takes over. Now, this is going to sound silly right now. I understand completely. But I'm telling you guys, nobody wanted to invest in Meta in the 80s because of fear. The same exact thing with NVIDIA before this epic, 10x, 15x run, whatever the heck it is. Nobody wanted any part of it because of fear back then. Almost every great company back then that was on a discount, valuation said was a screaming deal. Everything said buy except fear. And fear won out for most people. So, bottom line is, for those that are patient, stick to the plan and grind through a recession if we get one, if it happens, and you will come out so much further ahead than everyone else, and you will be in an incredible spot to make a lot of money on the back end of this. And if you're ready to be serious about this and you want help through this entire downturn and you want to work directly with me through all that, I may have left something special down there in the pinned comment to join my group where you can work directly with me. We've got free coaching, free courses, the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. There's so much involved, guys. Check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.